This is... oh, if I can carry it. Hey guys, it's Taku. I hope you're all doing well. This is my second video on YouTube, and I thought we should get to know each other better. They say that the shelves can be a window to the soul, and they tell us more about ourselves than we may even think. And for the subject of today's video, this is a trend that takes us all the way back so many years ago, it feels like. I remember this was all over YouTube, and ever since I saw it, I wanted to do it. Anyone heard of those like 10 random things or 50 random things or 10 of my favorite things that I own that are like things that speak about me or that tell a lot about my personality or something? I wanted to do one of those videos. It'd be a great way to introduce me to you, and so let's go ahead and get started. My first favorite thing is this giant Togepi plush. The story behind this is my parents went on a trip, probably it was like 2005 or something like that, I don't know. And anyway, they brought back a giant Pikachu plush for my older brother, a smaller Pikachu plush that like talked and lit up for me, and then this giant Togepi for my younger sister. And when my sister saw that the Pikachu lit up and could talk and all that, she wanted it. And being the older brother, I decided to give it to her, and she gave me the Togepi instead. This story is fond to me because everyone knows my sister for loving Pikachu, whether it is through the Pokemon card game, shirts, other clothing items, shoes, plushes, figures, art, so many other things. My sister is just known for loving Pikachu, and it all started with that first Pikachu plush. And it often makes me wonder if things were switched and I was greedy and kept the Pikachu, if things would be so much more different than they are now. This little guy now just kind of hangs out whenever I read, next to my pillows on my shelf, and yeah. The second item that I have is a piece of cosplay, DIY, kind of crafty things that I made. I'm a huge fan of Evangelion. Evangelion's probably my favorite anime. So much about it just speaks to me. It speaks to so many people. These are the interface earpieces, headset that the pilots wear whenever they pilot the Evangelion. As you can see, mine are just like shampoo lids that I hot glued hair clips into and then spray painted and colored them black and white to match Shinji's. But I keep this on my shelves now. I used to wear it at conventions just kind of casually, but it is now sort of just a piece of memorable cosplay because it was like one of my first cosplay attempts. They're a little silly now, and I realize that they're probably pretty cheap to pick up, but I wouldn't replace these for the world. Speaking of Evangelion and it being a favorite of mine, the next item I'm wearing, it is my Nerve shirt. I don't know if you can tell. It does say Nerve and then God's in his heaven, all's right with the world, which is kind of the Nerve like slogan. I wear this shirt, oh my god, probably like every week, probably weekly. It gets washed so often. I got it at a con because you guys know how expensive con merch can be, and I've definitely gotten my use out of this. I've washed it so many times, and I've gotten so many compliments actually, like in person, about this Nerve shirt. I like clothing like this Nerve shirt because it is an easy way to show I'm an anime fan without having, you know, like my favorite anime character's face like stretched all over the front. No shame in those clothing items, but I like something that's a little more subtle. It's a little classier too, and then also I can wear it with anything that I want and it doesn't clash. Dipping into another one of my favorite anime for the third item is a little Opoah Whistle from Steins Gate. Now you probably couldn't tell that this was like the signature little character or like little mascot of Steins Gate because it is a clay whistle that I made I think in like middle school. So the project behind this was that you were to make a whistle, and I didn't know what I wanted to do at the time. The teacher said that the subject had to be an animal of some kind. This isn't technically an animal, it's a little creature, but it goes without saying that no one knew what it was, and so I was able to get by. Most people think it's a little mouse because of the big ears. But anyway, it's based off of the steel Opoah from the Steins Gate TV series, and it actually still whistles. I love Steins Gate so much that it takes up 2 slots just like Evangelion on this list. My next item is a little pin. I don't know if you can see the details up close. Let's see. It is a replica of the Steins Gate lab member pin that my dad actually made. We found the like the art for it on the internet, and then it was laser cut on a like plastic like material board, not 3D printed, it's like a laser type thing that like etched in it, and then I sprayed it with gold paint and put a little clip on the back. And I will also sometimes throw this on my con bag or throw it on my book bag and kind of like rep Steins Gate, because it is probably the anime that I look back on as being like the first masterpiece anime that I ever saw. It was one of my first, but I think it's no surprise that everyone who has watched Steins Gate has walked away with mostly good things about it. But yeah, it might be a little golden pin, but it holds a lot of weight for me. Just the history of making it with my dad and my brother. And then also, if you've seen the series, you already know what the little symbols on this mean. My sixth favorite thing is actually 3. It is a set of Ghibli bookmarks from the Ghibli Museum in Japan. These come from a friend. We meet up occasionally. He lives out of town, but he gave these to me as a gift, and I'm so very fond of these, not only because they're so cool and they came from his experience in Japan, his family is from Japan, but they're also film strips, and I'm pretty sure they're like legit film strips. I'm getting a lot of like light on them. All 3 of them are from the Ponyo movie, and Ponyo is one of my favorite Ghibli movies. For a while there, I was convinced that it was my favorite, but I still harken back to Kiki and Castle in the Sky as probably my favorites. They're like legit film strips, and they come straight from the Ghibli Museum. They've just been laminated as bookmarks, and I use these in all the books I read. I throw them in my manga, I throw them in my light novels, and sometimes even regular things. And if you're a book collector like me, you could never have too many bookmarks. I think these are just the coolest things ever, and I also have this sentimental, history with this friend, and so to have something like this, I'm just really thankful for. Also in the film category for my 7th item is this Makoto Shinkai art book, A Sky Longing for Memories. I have flipped through this art book probably endlessly. It is a constant source of inspiration for me. I find that the background art is stuff that I'm constantly flipping through for, artistic motivation, but then also just tonally, he has got a style down that resonates so much with me and so many other, young people alike. And it's got art and interviews for everything pre-Garden of Words, so that would include Voices of a Distant Star, The Place Promised in Our Early Days, and 5 centimeters per second. But this book, you can probably pick up for like around $20 now, but I've just had it for so many years now, and I reference it all the time. I look back on it. It's a wonderful coffee table book if you're interested in that kind of thing. I love art books in general. I'm biased towards them. I'll collect art books if I see them. But this one in particular, I think, is one that I flip through over and over and over again. It's very densely packed with full artwork. It's just so beautiful. So this easily takes my spot for number 7. Moving on to my 8th favorite thing. This might be a little difficult to show because the light may reflect off of it, but it is actually a watercolor painting that I made. This is a screenshot from the anime. I had it framed. This is a screenshot from the anime A Lull in the Sea, or Nagi no Asakara. It is one of the characters' house. I can't remember exactly which one, but it is a sea village house from Shio. And that is the name of this fictional city in A Lull in the Sea. And it was my wallpaper for the longest time on my iPad, and I finally decided to sit down and recreate it on watercolor. It's probably my favorite watercolor piece I've ever done. If you didn't know, I did paint throughout high school and a little bit of college. But whenever I see, or whenever I look up at this painting, I'm reminded of the world of A Lull in the Sea, just the underwater village, and it being one of my favorite places to look at, but then also just a place I wish I could explore in person. I think it would be so neat to be in an underwater village. And A Lull in the Sea has my heart forever, and so will this painting. My 9th favorite thing is another very special piece. These are in no particular order, but this is a Yuri on Ice keychain. Acrylic, kind of like an acrylic charm that I got from an artist on Twitter. I can't remember their name, but if I find the business card, I'll try to link it here or something. But when I saw this on Twitter for the first time, my heart was absolutely set on getting this. I knew I had to, but it was through someone saved the image and then just re-uploaded it. So I didn't know who the actual artist was. I didn't know where I could find this piece of merch, which is why you should always link the artist, always link back to the artist, because there are people who will see it and then can buy it and then support the artist that way. And that way everyone kind of wins. When you have the light against it, it just looks like the silhouette. I don't know if you can see. It would just look like a black silhouette of them standing together with the cathedral behind them. Let me give you a close-up, or as close as I can get. But this piece is really special to me because besides a couple pins and maybe a couple prints, this was my first actual piece of like artist merch that I decided to buy. And I wonder if I didn't buy this, how much less or maybe how much more anime merch I would have. This kind of is the catalyst that started it all, and it is beautiful, and I have so many memories with this scene, with buying this thing, with hunting it down. But it is also kind of what I know as the start of my collecting much more anime merch later down the line. And going with my 9th favorite thing is my 10th and final, and this is a DIY Christmas gift that my sister got me. It is a board that says "We were born to make history" on it, that she painted with my dad. And I don't know if you can see that it's nailed down and then threaded with lace, but these are like ice skates, and this paint is supposed to like match the style of like the opening. It was like the coolest gift. It's the coolest gift. Something that is totally handmade. And especially by a family member who knew that I loved this series and then decided to fashion something out of it. I have so many memories with this, but I decided to make it even more useful by hanging a bunch of little hooks underneath it. And now it holds all of my Yuri on Ice acrylic and rubber straps. But this is still something that hangs up in my room now, of course. I love it so much. I've got the cathedral one in the very center here. And I think my favorite part is the 3D lace. You can't really tell, but it's an actual string. I'm fond of not only this series, but then everything that came with making this. I heard about the struggles, the tribulations of getting this thing done, and it's so cool. I mean, like, how could you say no? This is also a wonderful way to display your acrylic straps and charms. If you didn't want to do the typical, like, pin board method, something like this that you can easily take off and then hook back on, if I can get it, hook back on. It makes a wonderful piece to show off all of your acrylic charms, straps, and whatnot. And when you can theme it out to anime or manga or whatever you love, I think that's even better. So there you have it. There are 10 of my favorite anime related things. These are very personal objects. To an ordinary person, these don't look like they would hold much value. It's all of the sentimental value that I have and the history that I have behind these things that make them so special and what they are to me. And I think it also speaks a lot about my favorite shows, some of the things I look for in an anime, and some of the values that I have. So whether it's very big or very small, do you have any anime related items that you hold a lot of sentimental value towards? I'd love to hear about them down in the comments. Now note that this would exclude the physical copy of the anime, manga, or light novel itself. But that about does it for this second video. If you enjoyed watching, consider leaving a like. And for more anime, manga, or K-pop related content, be sure to subscribe to stick around. Follow me on Twitter or my blog at Takuto Anime Cafe, and I'm Takuto AC on Instagram. Thank you so much for watching, and till next time.